said previously that it would make a lot of sense to top out here. I want to take a look at all of the technicals that I see in the chart, and I want to show you why this line right here is actually going to be very important in the next few days here. And if we are right now in for a correction, I want to show you a zone down here that I will be watching in terms of a target for a larger correction. And is it still possible that Bitcoin might actually be able to come up to its next Fibonacci level of $16,000? And other than that, I want to talk about the altcoins. The altcoins are right now crashing in terms of Bitcoin price. I want to talk about the possibility of an altcoin boom. Well, I have so much to talk about in this video, and if you think that that sounds interesting, then I think that you should definitely go to this video. Hello guys, and welcome to the moon. My name is Carl. I'm going to bring you this cryptocurrency video. And let's talk about Bitcoin and the big flash crash we got there. And let me go into the 4 hourly, or even actually the 1 hour, and just take a look at what happened in the very short term. So let's just take a look at this. So yesterday we went up 20% in 1 day, which is actually extreme. That is far too much in one single day, and that's what led me to put out the video late yesterday saying that we are clearly overbought and we are too exuberant, too many people jumping in on this at the same time, and there's no way that price can be sustained when going up 20% in 1 day. I mean, the next day we would have to go up 40% to be able to keep that parabolic uptrend going, and that's just not gonna happen, I think. And so we were clearly overbought, and right now we can see that Bitcoin has actually cooled off a little bit. And the big question right now is, of course, was this the blow off top that I've been talking about, or is Bitcoin going to continue even higher? And the reason why this could be the blow off top is, of course, because we actually met the target, the 13.4K target that I've been talking about for actually a few weeks right now. I'm not sure exactly when I started to talk about the target, but I mean, it is a Fibonacci level that I very often use the Fibonacci levels in my charting, in my trading, and it is the 61.8% Fibonacci level. So if I just do this, I pull this down to the bottom, what we can see is that the 61.8 is right there, and that's exactly where we came up right now. And as you can see, of course, we don't go to the exact dollar amount, but very often we do get an overshoot like this where Bitcoin goes actually a little bit higher. And you know what? I'm actually going to show you something interesting here. I'm going to also put in the 0.65. So the 65% Fibonacci level in the chart. This is something that is called the golden pocket, and let me show you actually here. So the golden pocket is actually between 61.8% and the 65% level. You can actually see that Bitcoin came up to that exact level. If I just zoom into the chart here, what you can see is that Bitcoin actually ended up topping out in this golden pocket. So if I make a zone out of this like this, we can see that, yeah, this is actually where Bitcoin topped out. This is just something I wanted to share with you. I haven't talked about the golden pocket previously before we came up there, but now you can see that that's exactly where Bitcoin topped out. So I mean, I know that of course it's not guaranteed that this was the top, but I mean, it would make a lot of sense to top out in this box here. And we did go up 20% in 1 day. That's very characteristic for a huge blow off top. That is something that you would expect, just like we saw back here. We also saw massive gains, massive one single day gains, but the price is just getting too exhausted at that point. It needs to have a correction. And let's take a look at this this top here and say, well, if we are going to see a correction right now, where would we come down to? And let me actually go into the 4 hourly and bring out the Fibonacci retracement tool, but right now, assuming that this was the top. So let me actually do this. We go from the bottom to the top, and this gives us the Fibonacci retracement levels. And so what will I be watching for right now? First of all, I will be watching the 23.6% level right there. I think that as long as Bitcoin is still above this level, it's actually possible that Bitcoin might have another leg up but I do think it's a little bit more likely that this was actually the top and that we are actually going to break this level. But this is what I will be watching now in the very, very short term here, and that's the $11,350 level approximately. So what I mean here is that if we break this level to the downside, to me that indicates that this momentum has actually run out and we're probably going to see a bigger correction. And so the Fibonacci levels at that point we should be watching is the 38.2%, and that would be a big correction in terms of percent. But I think that we need to correct more than that in a bigger correction, because that's just not enough. We were right there. I mean, that's basically the 10K level, and just a few days ago we were there. I think we need a bigger correction. Too many people jumped in at the later stage of this bubble pop. These people sadly have to be wrecked before we can see this come up again, and that's just how markets work. So let's just take a look at my favorite Fibonacci level, the 61.8% level down there, and actually, well, the golden pocket that we just talked about, and that's down in these regions, and that would actually be at the so the exact level 61.8 is actually at $7,256 approximately. And yeah, let's actually keep an eye on this golden pocket, just like the golden pocket acted as a very nice resistance up there. I think that this would be a very, very nice technical target in a possible correction. I think it would make a lot of sense. That would be a 60% correction. Of course, that's a huge correction. But the fact that we went up 20% in one day tells me that it wouldn't be too unreasonable to get something like this. And this also lines up pretty nicely with the weekly EMA ribbon, I think. So if we bring that out, because just like I've said previously, I think the weekly EMA ribbon is going to be the bottom. I don't think we will ever go down below it again. And it is coming up here very nicely, and it's actually coming up very closely to this this level. And I think that it's possible that the weekly EMA ribbon could prevent Bitcoin from actually coming down to the exact target. So once again, I want to tell you that I think that the weekly EMA ribbon is probably going to be the bottom in a possible correction. And if we were to see a wick below the weekly EMA ribbon, then that wick would probably, in that case, maybe touch this golden pocket zone. But I think it's very, very unlikely that Bitcoin goes below $7,000 again. I think that's very unlikely, and I am not going to assume that that's going to take place. So this means that if Bitcoin reaches these levels, then I will definitely be looking out for a big leveraged long position to try to catch that bottom and basically, yeah, try to ride a nice wave to the upside. I cannot guarantee that we will come down to this 7.2K level, just like I couldn't guarantee that we were going to go up to the 13.4K level. But I always said here that it makes so much sense to come up to the 61.8% Fibonacci level. This level would make sense as a topping out level. And the same goes for this level down here. It would make sense. Can we guarantee it? No, of course not. Bitcoin very rarely can guarantee anything. But there is one other factor that lets me think that the 7K level would make a lot of sense for a correction. And actually, if we go to the Bitcoin futures chart, let me just let me disable the EMA ribbon for a while, and let me just go to the 4 hourly. So we have a lot of gaps here. Let me just take this away for 2 minutes. So we have the Bitcoin futures chart, and of course this is not traded 24/7. So sometimes we get these gaps where price actually has a gap, and it's widely known in stock trading and in traditional markets that when you get these gaps, they are very likely to, in the not so distant future, get filled. So as you can see here, we got a gap right there, it got filled, and we had a gap right there, it got filled, and a gap right there, and it also got filled. And you can go back into the chart to see that this is basically the case. These gaps, they very often get filled very, very quickly. And right now we have a lot of newly created gaps, which means that it's very likely that these gaps are in the not so distant future actually going to get filled. And let's take a look at the bottom range here. So the lowest gap that hasn't gotten filled yet is actually down right there at 7,170 approximately. And there is one other gap that I would like to see get filled, would be right there. This gap right there, and that's at 8,500, and I'm actually going to make a zone out of that, and I think that it's very likely that we will come down to these levels again. I am actually going to be trading based on that. So this ranges from 7,165 all the way up to 8,500. I think that this target zone will very likely be reached in the not so distant future, and yet again I cannot guarantee it, but me personally, I will be using this as a target zone and a buy zone. And if we were to come down from where we are right now down to the higher ranges here, that would be a 30% correction from where we are right now. Not too bad. That's not a large correction at all, really. From the top down there, that would be a 40%, pretty much exactly what you would expect in a bull market. If we go back to the previous bull market, let me actually go to this chart. I've shown you this a few times before, but let me just show you once again. In a bull market, I mean, this was a raging bull market, but still Bitcoin corrected about 40% right there, and corrected 35% right there, and here had a bigger correction of about 40%. And here also about 40%. So 40% corrections in a bull market is very, very reasonable and very natural for Bitcoin. So let's just take a look at 40%. 40% right now would only bring us down to 8,000. And this move is a lot more parabolic than any of the moves that we saw back in the previous bull market, except for maybe this parabolic move right there. That's the only one that can be compared, and that one had got a correction of approximately well, more than 40%. So at least 40% I think would make a lot of sense. So let's do this again from the top down. At least 40%. So I think at least Bitcoin is going to correct down to 8,000. That would make so much sense. I would be very surprised if we do not see Bitcoin come down to 8K again. And I think that it's actually quite likely that a 50% correction might be in store for us here, down to 7,150 or something like that, to come down and close the gap. So yeah, let's say that I think a 50% correction right now is actually not too unlikely. But is it still possible that Bitcoin might actually break through this golden pocket and go up to $16,000? Yes, it is actually still possible. I'm not sure how probable it is, and I don't want to trade on that. I would not long now and expect us to come up to 16K. I think that seems like a very risky trade to make. And right now, just like I said in yesterday's video, I am happy with reaching my target of 13.4K. That's enough for me. Let's not be too greedy. And I've taken the money off the table. That was the short term. And if Bitcoin goes up to 16K, then yeah, sure, that's gonna be very nice. But that would just be even more reason to believe that a huge correction is coming. I don't know exactly how likely it is that we reach 16K. It is possible, but I'm not gonna say that this is the likelier scenario. I think it would make so much sense to top out at 13.4K based on everything I've said for the past few weeks here. But if we do see, so let's take a look at this. I mean, if we were to, against the odds, actually see Bitcoin actually bounce off of the previous resistance right there. This is the 23% Fibonacci level approximately. If Bitcoin comes down and bounces off of the 23% level in the approximate level of 11.5K and actually confirms support here, then there is the possibility that maybe Bitcoin actually is strong enough to continue to go higher. But I think that, yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see how that plays out. But the 11.5K is previous resistance. This is very, very important level. and I think that when we break this level to the downside, that is my clue. That is going to indicate to me that Bitcoin is actually going to go down and correct. So this is the level that is going to be very important to keep an eye on, and as long as we're above it, it is still possible that we might go up, but when we break it, I think the odds of us going up higher has dramatically decreased. So this logically means that as soon as Bitcoin decisively breaks 11.5k, that indicates that the chances that this was the top are very, very high. And I think the chances that this was the high are already pretty high. Alright, and so if this was the blow off top that we have been waiting for, this means that right now there's a big chance of an altcoin boom. And well, first of all, we need this to be confirmed, and I think that as long as Bitcoin is still above the 11.5k, I don't think the altcoins are going to boom just yet. I think we need a correction and Bitcoin is going to have to start going sideways, but I do believe that yes, the altcoins might actually start to pop. This is Ethereum, for example, and Ethereum is right now very low. And once again, I don't want anyone to jump in prematurely. We need the altcoin boom to be confirmed before we do anything irrational here. But Ethereum is basically in a zone in which Ethereum has actually bottomed out several times before. Right now, we are actually in the exact same zone. That makes a lot of sense as a potential bottom. But I don't think that the altcoin boom is confirmed yet, because the altcoins are still actually going down. If we go to CoinMarketCap, we can actually see that the altcoins are right now taking a big hit in dollar terms, and even bigger hit in terms of Bitcoin. So let's wait for it, be patient, because if you jump in prematurely in something like this, you will very, very likely be liquidated, and we do not want that to happen. So let's wait for Bitcoin to actually decisively tell us that yes, this was the top, and break the 11.5k to the downside, and let's wait for the first few altcoins to start pop, and if they do, that's when I will be jumping into the altcoins. I am not touching the alts yet. And there is one other level that I will be watching. We have the 11.5k in Bitcoin, but if we go over back to the Bitcoin futures, remember that the EMA ribbon on the futures chart actually works a lot better than the regular chart. So let's bring out the 4-hourly EMA ribbon. The 1-hour EMA ribbon, because I believe that as long as Bitcoin is above the 1-hour EMA ribbon, I think that Bitcoin is actually still in an uptrend. I do believe it's probably more likely that we will be breaking this right now. I think that would make sense. So if this 1-hour ribbon breaks, I do think that that is probably going to result in a big candle to the downside, and that is going to dramatically increase the chance of a correction. But the last hope for the bulls, like I said, is actually the 11.5k. That would actually also be here in the short term, closing this gap. So the first major level I will be watching is the EMA ribbon here on the 1 hour, because Bitcoin was saved twice. And the last hope for the bulls will be the 11.5k. But if we break both of these levels, then I think that the chance of a correction is extremely high, and my target, like I said, is actually down in the 7 to 8k range. And I just wanted to show you this image a little bit quickly because I actually thought it was pretty funny, mostly because it's actually true. And I'm not saying that this is always going to be true, because there are altcoins that will outperform Bitcoin in given periods of time. But right now, all of the altcoins, they are crashing. They are really, really performing very poorly against Bitcoin. And this is exactly what I've been expecting, and it's exactly what I've been saying to you guys for so long right now. Bitcoin is the safe bet. Bitcoin will outperform the crypto markets generally for the next few years here. That's what I believe, and it's a lot better to just buy Bitcoin and put a few altcoins in your portfolio. But my recommendation is to never have more than 20% of your portfolio in altcoins, and always have at least 80% in Bitcoin. I personally have about 90% in Bitcoin. But that said, though, I do believe the altcoins right now temporarily are very low. So like I said in yesterday's video, I will be looking out for signs that the altcoins are bottoming out, and I will try to use that as a entry in the altcoins. But that will be for the short term. I will try to swing the altcoins and then buy back into Bitcoin. So but I'm not pulling any triggers yet. I don't think I've seen the sign yet that the altcoin boom has started. and it's not even guaranteed that it will start, so let's just keep that in mind. So I will stay in Bitcoin until altcoin boom is confirmed. And the next image, I think that everyone can relate here when you haven't checked the Bitcoin price in 3 seconds. And actually this was me back in 2017, but right now I feel like I have a better distance to the price. But I do think that a lot of people jumping in right now and people who have just started to invest, they probably are watching the price every single second, just like I did back in 2017. But I guess you gotta try to put down your phone every now and then, because this could turn into an addiction, because it is very addictive watching your portfolio go up every single day. But I don't think it's very healthy to do that. But I get it. It's really nice to see the portfolio go up in value. And next up, Coinbase Pro announces support for Chainlink token. And I'm not going to go into this very much because this video is already very long. But basically this token is actually going to be listed to Coinbase Pro, and that is why Chainlink right now is actually outperforming the whole crypto market. Chainlink is actually up 12% this day, while all the other coins are actually going down. So yeah, based on good news, Chainlink is going up. And I found another article I want to show you. So the altcoin season will come, says FundStrat's Tom Lee. And I actually found this article just a few minutes ago. And the fact that Tom Lee says that an altcoin boom is coming kind of makes me a little bit skeptical towards that, because every time Tom Lee says something, pretty much the opposite happens. So I'm a little bit like, I don't really like the fact that he's saying it. And even John McAfee said that an altcoin boom is imminent. Somewhere here, this article says that he said that. And so I know that I've said that an altcoin boom is coming. So let me just put a small little caution here. Maybe it's not coming, because maybe too many people are expecting it to come. I don't know. I haven't really scanned the internet to see what people think. But if there are too many people expecting an altcoin boom, then maybe we're not going to see an altcoin boom. Let's just keep that in mind. But I still think we will see a bounce in the altcoins. Maybe the altcoin boom is not going to be as huge as people expect. I actually don't believe we're going to see a massive altcoin boom, but I think we will see an altcoin boom in the short term. Let it be maybe a few days or maybe a few weeks. But I think the altcoins, they have been greatly underperforming Bitcoin. I think that a small bounce is very logical to get. Actually, if we go over to this site here, we can see that compared to Bitcoin, the last 7 days, you can see that all of the altcoins here are down an extreme amount. Most of them are down like 30-20%, and the last 30 days, the altcoins are down also almost up to 40% here generally. And the last 90 days, they are also down like 40, 50, even 60% against Bitcoin. And this tells me that it's very possible that at least in the short term, we could see a bounce. But after the bounce, Bitcoin might pick up the steam again and even further put the altcoins down into the ground. I think that's actually a very clear possibility. But if we do see a small altcoin boom or a short altcoin boom, I will be there to try to pick up these profits if they are there to be picked up. But this is actually going to be it for this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to watch my BitMEX tutorial, you should watch it right now. It's right there. Click it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.